Chosen one, I'm about to tell you something you need to hear. Something that feels a bit like a secret, but it's actually a huge blessing. This truth is so powerful it will explain everything you've ever felt and unlock a peace you can't imagine. Trust me, you do not want to skip this. Welcome on board, person you chose. Let's not waste time acting like we didn't understand each other. They were very aware of what they were doing. They knew who you were. Even though they knew what you were carrying, they smiled at you and made plans behind your back. They didn't think you would find out that part. That's the part they thought would always be buried. Do not forget the whispers. They aren't really cool. Don't forget the looks. They'll break in the end. Don't forget the jokes that were meant to be serious. He or she should now bow down. Isn't it funny how quiet it was after that? You knew it before you could explain it. The sudden space, the strange tension when you walked into a room, the way conversations would end in the middle of a sentence, and the way support would turn into silence. You weren't scared to death. You weren't making up enemies. You were in the middle of a secret plan to wear you down, while making it look like they were rooting for you. The truth that hurts them the most is this unpleasant one. You didn't fall down. You didn't ask for something. You didn't go away. You changed. You stopped talking. You saw. You made it. That's when the fear began. Your name kept coming up behind closed doors. They didn't do it because they liked you, but because they couldn't control you. You were meant to have doubts about yourself. You were meant to get tired. You were meant to get small enough to handle. Instead, you became hard to predict. Stay calm, concentrated. In the worst way, it is dangerous. They did everything possible. Getaway, trickery, peer pressure, and changing the past. Some of them put on a victim act. Some were the heroes. Some people behaved as if they had no idea what was going on. Masks are different, but the script is the same. Now look at them again. They're still there, checking on you, and wondering how you're doing. They did. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings. It is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual. Link in the description. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site, you are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Give, and it will be given to you, is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose, join the conversation, and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today, join our community, and see what God brings back into your life. Click the like button and subscribe, Before we go any further, and not for me, but for the mission, that makes this voice loud enough to reach the people who need it and spreads the message further. Let's get back to work. People who are trying to attack don't always celebrate when their plan fails. They go away and are quiet. Everything is played again. There is disagreement among them. That's the present moment. The storm is over. The harm has been done. You're still standing here after the fact, not understanding why the air feels different. Now that the secret is out, it feels different. Someone spoke. It's not because they are brave, guilty, scared, or worn out from carrying lies that were never theirs to begin with. There were group chats, side meetings, fake concern on top of real jealousy, and a coordinated effort to keep you away while saying it was for your own good. Everything came out, and once something was seen, the rest couldn't stay hidden. They didn't plan for that part. Some people crack, loyalty wears off. Being alone makes you feel bad. And someone always picks relief over safety when the pressure is high enough. Everything you felt makes sense now. The sudden change in tone, the passive-aggressive support, and the way they praised you in public, but questioned you behind your back. They didn't get lost with you. They were scared of things they couldn't copy. This part really hurts them. You didn't need to attack. You didn't have to show them. You never had to beg for the truth. You kept becoming more like yourself, and that was all it took to break everything down. There have been people in history who were quiet and unassuming at first, but who were strong in the end. These are the people who weather storms instead of fighting them head on, and they let their enemies get tired while they keep their strength. Every empire that fell short misjudged someone just like that. They believed that time was on their side. They believed that doing the same thing over and over would tire you out. They believed that being alone would make you want to give up. Instead, it made you stronger. It's now them who are listening to old conversations again. Now they're not sure if what they said was enough. They now know that the secret they kept out a small one. It was mean. It was planned, and no one thought it would be this bad. Now is not the time for revenge. Now is the time for clarity. You don't have to talk to them. The universe has already changed the board's layout. You don't need to say anything. The truth can sneak up on you without your permission. You don't need closure from people who only got you when they could no longer reach you. Stay where you are. Take in the peace. That is not nothingness. That's power taking over. They called you showy. They told you you were sensitive. People said you'd fail. Now they're whispering your name like it's a problem they couldn't solve. Here's the part of the story where the bad guy stops lying and starts telling the truth. Now the room gets quiet and the doors lock from the inside. Since what's about to happen next isn't anything fun, it's being seen. That's the kind of truth that makes weak people click away and strong people lean in further. They didn't hide the secret from you by accident, and it wasn't a small one either. For years, it was built up, practiced, and kept safe. You won't be able to take it back once you see it clearly. So, chosen one, pay close attention. It's not fear if you feel tight in the chest right now. That's being recognized. People aren't just dragged into times like these by the universe. The people who were lied to the most and still lived are pulled. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool, everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. It's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now, stay right here with me, because as this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment, whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community. By doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself, Jesus says. This is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Leave a comment with 777 if you're ready to stop guessing and find out what was going on behind your back. Not as a trend, but as a sign that you're ready to see the whole picture without hiding. Do one more thing for me before we go deeper. Sign up and like this, not to get more people, but to make this message stronger. If you do that, this truth will reach someone else who has been quietly questioning their own reality. Take a deep breath. It's time to break this down clear and slowly, step by step. If you're really one of the chosen ones, I promise you that you won't want to leave halfway through. It will be impossible to leave before the end. Now let's begin. First, they didn't talk about. They were busy running war rooms. It's never curiosity that brings people together in secret to talk about one person. It's just fear dressed up as a plan. Now let's get rid of the lie. These conversations were not safe. It wasn't like these people were checking in or caring. This was working together. This was a plan. This was a group of insecure people sitting together and telling each other that you were, because it was too hard to admit that you were strong. They were getting together while you were going about your daily life, taking care of your duties, and trying to figure out why your energy was changing in strange ways. Not once, not sometimes, but many times. You can use rooms, calls, private chats, and whispered meetups. Your name wasn't just thrown out there. It was put in the middle of the table. You weren't a subject. You were the plan. This part should make you smile in a dangerously quiet way. This kind of organization only happens when one person throws them off balance. No one makes committees about people who don't matter. No one practices stories about people who are helpless. They got together because your presence made them feel uneasy. They were scared by how consistent you were. People who are weak will see your silence as a threat if it makes them feel confused. They looked at you closely as if you weren't human. The way you speak, pause, react, and do things. They played back times when you didn't you would do. They slowed down conversations, looked at your facial expressions, and rewrote whole scenes to explain why you didn't fit into their system of control. You weren't hard to guess. You were out of control. That scared them. Always, one of them would start with fake worry. That trick has been around for a long time. I'm just scared for them. Something doesn't seem right. I only want the best. After that, the real work began. Little lies, purposeful omissions, and carefully crafted half-truths. You were made to look unstable, difficult, cocky, or dangerous by the end of those sessions, even though you were never there to defend yourself. That's the sick genius of it. They worked on how to answer questions you hadn't even asked yet. Take a look at that. They practiced how they would talk in the future. They planned how people would feel. They had excuses ready to go. They wrote a play for a version of you that didn't exist in real life. There is no misunderstanding. That's planning ahead. If you ever wondered why some people behaved in strange ways around you, now you know. They weren't responding to what you said. Their answer to a character had been practiced behind closed doors. You went into rooms already guilty from conversations you didn't even go to. Back then, you probably asked yourself some hard things. Why does it feel like everyone has already decided what they think about me? What is it about me that makes them think I did something I don't remember? Why does fighting back make things worse? This is because you weren't arguing with specific people. You were up against a story that everyone told. This is where the bad guy in you should get up and stretch. You made it through a planned psychological operation without even knowing how the game was played. You stayed calm even though you were being lied about. People talked about how to get your attention while you stood there. That's not being weak. That's toughness in the face of danger. To get to sleep at night, they told themselves stories about how you'd break, explode, or show yourself to be the monster they made up. You didn't though. You kept your cool. You kept an eye on things. You stayed a person. That made them even more scared, because people who are good at manipulating are scared of people who don't do what they say. Not the truth, but power. They wanted to be followed, not understood. They wanted you to be reliable, quick to react, and sorry. You stopped talking instead, and people who are quiet scare liars. There is nothing to twist in silence. Calm doesn't give you any power. Let's tell the truth. If the roles were switched, they would have fallen apart in weeks. They couldn't have handled being looked at, misquoted, and quietly picked on by a group. Their every move would have been watched by many people, so they couldn't have slept at night. You did, though. You didn't stop. You changed without getting angry. Now the irony hits like a knife. The very groups that were meant to hurt. You showed how strong you were all along. They didn't just hide the fact that they talked about you. They had to work together to deal one person. That's the part they want you to never fully understand. The truth didn't bring them together. They were all afraid for their safety. They weren't keeping anyone safe. They were guarding their weak sense of being better than everyone else. As soon as one of them broke down and told the truth, the whole lie fell apart. If you're still wondering, was it really that deep? It was more serious than you thought. More serious than rumors and more serious than envy. It was planned and organized, but it didn't work. They only have old notes, broken scripts, and the haunting knowledge that all their hard work still didn't stop you. You're still here, clearer, sharper, and harder to fool. That's not just staying alive. That's victory with a calm face, and the fight is just beginning. Number 2, secretly bleeding you while smiling at you. Someone who hugs you while sharpening the knife is more dangerous than someone who says they hate you. Take your time with this, because this part hurts the most. Even though you were planning, meeting, and being in quiet war rooms, they still showed up in your life like old friends. The jokes, the tone, and the fake friendliness are all the same. They laughed with you, checked up on you, and even stood up for you in public. But as soon as you left the room, they switched roles and signed off on the other one. What they did wasn't kind, it was performance. There was more than one time they lied to you. Imagine that someone spends hours tearing your name apart, calling you crazy, changing what you meant, and making you look like the bad guy. After taking a deep breath, they straighten up, make their face less angry, and send you a message as if nothing happened. Hey, I hope all is well with you. That level of being split up isn't normal. That's not grown up. That's getting ready. They did train too. They worked on how to look couchy. Each other taught the other how to make facial expressions. They told each other not to flinch, not to try too hard, and not to make a mistake. Take a look at how crazy that is. You were dealing with real people too. You had to deal with people who were hiding their guilt to stay close enough to watch you. You might have felt it but not known what it was. That strange feeling of lag. The smiles that didn't reach their eyes. The laugh that seemed to come a second too late. The help that didn't feel real, like it was remembered instead of being felt. You may have thought, why does this feel off when everything looks fine? This is because you could feel the split in your gut. When they were around you, they lived two lives. One identity was helpful, friendly, and well-known. The other one was cold, strategic, and smart. You saw a smile on one face. The other person talked about how you like problems to be solved. It became so natural for them to switch between those two that they stopped noticing how strange it was. There's a great quote for you. People who have to work on being normal around you were never safe to begin with. Picture a play where the actors forget how to act. That's what took place. They thought it was their real face because they wore the mask for so long. But masks break when they're pushed too hard. They always do. They kept telling themselves that they were keeping the peace. They said it was for the best. They told themselves that lying was necessary because you wouldn't get it. That's how some people explain betrayal without feeling sick. They change being mean to being responsible and call it growing up. Really though, let's be honest. They wouldn't have had to hide if they really thought they were right. The truth does not whisper in the dark. There is no need to practice. Being able to keep eye contact doesn't require emotional gymnastics. This is another truth they don't want you to know. It takes work to act like you care. Keeping up two different versions of reality takes work. And they were far more tired than they'll ever admit. Imagine always having two scripts with you. One for you and one for everyone else. Imagine checking yourself all the time. Did I say too much? Did the look on my face tell you? Did they hear the pause? People can't handle that much tension inside. You weren't crazy for feeling uneasy around them. You were standing next to people who were consciously trying to hide their feelings. You might be thinking, how could they look me in the eye and do that to me? Because shame isn't always the same as guilt. It looks like being polite sometimes. Sometimes it looks like being too friendly. It looks like some people are trying way too hard to be helpful sometimes. This is another punch to the enemy in the gut. Someone with something to hide would work that hard to look like they are not dangerous. They thought being close to them gave them power. They thought that staying close meant that they would be in charge. They didn't know that staying close to someone you're cheating on makes you sick from the inside out. Every smile gets bigger. Every talk turns into a test. They are always reminded of what they're not when they're with you. Imagine someone who is lying while standing in the sun. It gets warmer as they stay longer. Something burns in the end. That's why there were cracks. A change in tone here. An odd response there, passive, aggressive comments that were passed off as jokes, and support that felt like it was conditional. That didn't come to your mind. People were emotionally worn out because they were trying to keep their masks on. You, too, stayed true. They didn't plan for that part to happen. You didn't copy the fake energy they had. You did not start to act. You didn't put on a show to stay alive. You stayed real, grounded, and calm. And that difference showed them without you saying a word. This is a metaphor that you'll get away. Picture yourself in a quiet room, next to someone wearing a cheap costume. Hearing the fabric stretch more as there is more silence. That's what they felt when you were there. You didn't attack. It wasn't an accusation. You just lived your life honestly. And people who live lies can't stand being honest. One more truth they won't say. They were afraid of the day you would finally see right through them. Every interaction had that fear running through it. Every smile was filled with worry. Every hug came with a chance. Then someone broke. Someone was sick of carrying two truths around with them. Someone finally gave up on the contradiction. Finally, someone admitted how hard it was to act like nothing was wrong. At that moment, the mask slowly and quietly fell off. A confession, an important fact, or a truth that didn't fit with the story. Most of the time, whispers, not explosions, are how illusions end. Do you want to know if any of it was real? This answer hurts, but it frees you. There were real times. There were real laughs, but not real loyalty, which is why loyalty is important. One more quote to remember. When you realize that fake love never really loved you, it feels warm. You did the right thing by trusting. You weren't crazy to think that people could be honest. You weren't the one who failed. It was theirs. They picked lying over telling the truth, power over respect, and strategy over honesty. Now, the universe deals with those kinds of people in a strange way. The mask is taken off, and they can see their own reflection. No one to watch or write for, just them as they really are. You don't need to get even. You don't need conversations to end things. The truth already told you what you needed to know. You were clear when you left. They have to explain themselves to each other and are waiting for someone else to speak. That's a win in secret. The story keeps going because you stayed human in a room full of actors. Third, it wasn't a drama. It was set up at a military level. The truth has already won when lies need to work together. We need to stop calling this confusion or bad communication. This attack was planned and carried out with precision. They didn't just let off steam. They set up a plan. The language was made the same. The stories lined up. It was practiced how to react. Everyone involved knew exactly what version of events to tell again and what information to leave out. That's not a mess. Now that's control. It's like when a group agrees on a play before going on stage, but the stage was your life, and you never agreed to the play. They pretended to be tired saviors and told everyone who would listen the same things. We did our best. We were interested. We did all that we could. At the same time, you were made to look like the problem without ever being asked to join the conversation. That's how stories get passed around without any opposition. People were given roles like chess pieces. One person played the voice of reason and calm. People kept logs, screenshots, timestamps, and anything else that could be used as a weapon in the future. One played the role of the bridge, acting neutral while giving both sides what they needed. One made sure that the story got around well enough for it to stick. The last role was the most dangerous of all. The one who is closest to you. The person who heard you when you were honest. The person who saw you was human, tired, and unsure. They did not protect that weak spot. They put it in a box, sent it, and turned your private moments into weapons. That is not an accident of betrayal. That is spying. You might be curious about how they all sound so much alike. Because they worked on it. Is it because I never tried to defend myself? Because everyone already agreed on the ending. Why did it feel like smoke was around me? Because you weren't dealing with real people. You were facing a machine that was in sync. This is where you get the power back. Something always slips, always talks, and always gets tired of acting like the hero. Machines break when one part doesn't work right. For them to face you, they needed numbers. You needed to be clear. That's the difference. For the receipts that buried them alive. No one is after the truth. It sits there. And it brings proof when it gets there. This is the point where the story turns from an idea to a fact. The conversations, threats, and screenshots are stacked on top of each other, like a crime scene file. Your name didn't show up more than once. Every day, every mood, and every platform, it showed up again and again. That tells you everything. No one becomes obsessed with a small person. Imagine opening a vault and finding neat records of every suspicion you've ever buried. Messages that broke down your problems like lab results. Laughs you made when you were at your worst. Celebrated events that looked like updates when you were in pain. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry when Jesus says, "Give and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall, share your heart, and as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit Out Community now, join the family, and see your heavens open. They did more than just see your pain. They kept an eye on it like stock analysts who are waiting for a stock to go down. People may have asked me if I was ever respected in those rooms. The cold answer is here. Honor was never the point. In charge was. They used your feelings like disposable data, something to get, figure out, and then throw away when it was no longer needed for the story. In those threads, they didn't see you as a person. They used you as a case study and tried to sound smarter, calmer, and more righteous than the last person. Picture a group of people circling a screen, reading your words very closely, taking screenshots of your tone, and stopping moments out of context. That's not worry, that's fixation, and fixation always shows that you're not safe. People who are strong and honest don't need archives or folders. Here's another truth you need to hear. People gather evidence against you behind your back because they're afraid you'll find out it in public. Each message showed how much they wanted to change who you were. And now for the irony that will make you breathe out. They wrote down how guilty they felt. Every message was a trace, and every picture was a confession just waiting to come out. The truth told everyone what you needed to say, and the trick doesn't work again once you see the receipts. 5. Before you got there, the game was already rigged. No test is being given if every move you make is used against you. You are being hunted. This is where the mask drops all the way. Not only did they wait for mistakes to happen, they planned them. They set up trigger protocols, which are like invisible traps that were meant to make people do things that they could then use as proof. Not because you were unstable, but because they wanted you to look like you were. It's like being stuck in a maze where every exit leads to someone to blame. People called you cold, distant, and unfriendly if you kept quiet. When you spoke up, people called you intense, emotional, or hard to deal with. If you joked, it wasn't right. You were mean if you stayed serious. There was no right answer because being right was never the point. The goal was to record. They poked at wounds they knew were there. They talked about things at the wrong times. When you fought back, they pretended to be innocent while putting pressure on you in public. Any time you responded like a person, it was recorded, played back, and blown out of proportion. Observation is not that. That was trapping them. Why does it feel like I'm always wrong, no matter what I do? Is because you were never meant to win. There was no conversation here. It looked like the judge had already made up the case. You were walking into parts of the story that were already set up when you got there. This is the part they didn't expect. The pattern was clear to you. There was a sense of repetition. It was there, even though you couldn't put your finger on it yet. And instead of blowing up the way they wanted, you changed. You backed off. It was noticed. You stopped giving the machine food. Because trigger protocols only work on people who don't know they're in one. Their system started to fail at that point. When awareness walks in, manipulation stops working. The traps are no longer closing with a snap. It becomes clear what the provocations are. And the manipulators get scared. The quote that ends this part is here. As soon as the target stops playing, the game is over. They had to respond. You kept them in check. They needed a mess. Control was your choice. Everything they had built was broken by that quiet choice. 6th, they tried to cut your lines and leave you without help. Being alone is the best defense for cowards who can't win in the light of day. This is where the attack became more careful. Not only did they want to set the story, but also the people you could tell it to. So they went after your connections one by one, carefully and quietly, as if they were afraid of being found out if too many people talked at once. They spread doubt in a slow, careless way, like poison is added to a drink. I'm not sure. They don't seem right. I'm just afraid you're going the wrong way. You might have got it wrong. Each sentence on its own didn't sound bad. They worked together to make a fog that was thick enough to make it hard to tell what was real. Imagine that there are many mirrors in a room, and they all show the same lie. You start to doubt your memory not because it's wrong, but because doing something over and over again makes it stronger. They made a closed loop where everyone agreed with their side and any other point of view was seen as unrealistic, unfair, or harmful. That's not an argument. That's spreading lies. When it worked for them, they didn't believe what they were saying. What they did turned into a charge against you. The problem you had was how to react to what they did. Projection wasn't a mistake. It was a plan. They could make you so confused for so long that you would give up and be quiet. You may have asked yourself, why do I feel like I'm losing myself? Because they were actively making you feel as they were. When someone gaslights you, they don't just tell you one lie. They keep telling you lies until you start editing yourself to make them feel better. Now comes the important part. People who push you away are afraid of what will happen if someone listens to you. One thing they thought about too little. Being alone didn't make you weaker. It made you look inside, where your intuition got stronger. The noise went away. The manipulation became clear. They tried to get rid of your backups. Instead, they let their guard down. And they can't control you after that. 7th. Why they really didn't like you. Things that are empty don't get destroyed. They destroy things that make them think of the people they will never be. This is where the lie falls apart. If you take away the plan, the meetings, and the fake concern, you get to the real concern. Angry feeling. Pure, unadulterated jealousy that grew in their chest and grew worse over time. They didn't have what you did, and no amount of pretending could fill that void. It wasn't even necessary to be loud. That made things worse for them. You didn't have to be sure of yourself. You didn't borrow peace. It wasn't a performance that you were real. Just by being yourself, you showed them everything they were lying about. Picture yourself standing in a room with a lit candle while other people act like it's bright. Their darkness became clear because you were there. They felt small around you, not because you shrunk down, but because you wouldn't. They chose the easier way out instead of facing that feeling like grown-ups. Tear you down and put your feelings in the same basement they did. They would pull if they couldn't get up. This part should make you feel sick to your stomach and straighten your back at the same time. Their anger brought them together. It became a habit for them to complain about you. Criticizing you became something they did all the time. You weren't just a target. You were what held their group together when it was falling apart. They had nothing to work together against without you. Just think about how empty it is. A bunch of people whose only goal is to hurt other people. When hate turns into community, there is no way to avoid collapse. They told themselves you were cocky because they were afraid of being humble. Because they didn't know how to be real, they called you fake. People made fun of your peace because all they knew was chaos. One more truth. It's not jealousy that wants what you have. It wants you to lose your cool. But they failed. You didn't get lost. Their poison didn't get into you. You got through your anger and were better for it. They were no longer useful because you're still standing. 8th. Their own lies that helped them fall asleep at night. People don't tell other people the scariest lies. They are said to the mirror in a whisper. This is where their minds turned into rooms that were closed off and had no windows. Sometime they stopped acting like they were lying and began to really believe it. Not because it was true, but because repeating something over and over again can help when guilt is a pain. They told the story over and over until it seemed like a true story. What they thought stopped being real when it felt real. When doubt came up, the group quickly squashed it. A raised eyebrow, a joke meant to scare you, or a quick rundown of everything you did. The guilt wasn't dealt with, it was shut down. People who were uncertain were seen as a risk. Picture a room where everyone has taken down all of their alarms because they are too loud. That is what they did to feel bad about it. To stay alive, they made everything easier. You turned into a threat. That label took away all of their pain. After that was decided, everything that was done to you was okay. Protecting yourself meant twisting your words. That was prevention isolating you. It was necessary to hurt you. That's how cruel acts become moral. You might be curious about whether they ever felt bad. In short, but feeling bad meant taking responsibility, and that responsibility put the story at risk. So, the group changed the ideas of morality. What was right became whatever helped them. What you did became wrong. When a group agrees on a lie, the truth turns into an enemy. Image a cult where no one wears a uniform. Same way of thinking, same language, same enemy, and the same freedom to act without thinking. It made them feel safer the more they did it. The farther they went, the safer they felt. The irony is that they can't get away. People who need to be told over and over again that they're right already know they're wrong. You didn't have to make anyone less human to stand tall. Yes, they did. That difference is important because lying to yourself falls apart when the truth comes out. There's nowhere to hide when it does. 9. When the truth sets you free. Being right isn't loud. When you finally realize you were never crazy, you feel calm and at ease. This is where the weight gets heavier. Not in a big way or with cheers, but with that slow, steady exhale you hadn't even known you'd been holding for years. Because now you understand that every confusing moment makes sense. There is a reason for every strange reaction. Everything you thought was a mistake turned out to be sharp, right, and ahead of its time. You weren't making things up. You didn't show too much emotion. You didn't read into nothing. Hearsay or guesses did not lead to the proof. It came from someone who was there, who took part, or who saw it happen from the inside, and finally spoke the truth. That's not opinion. That's proof, patterns, and documentation. That's just reality setting in. As they thought about how to stop you over and over, you were quietly changing. Even though you didn't know the whole story, you felt the pressure and didn't break. Instead, you changed. You learned. It became more difficult to control, predict, or change you. That's the part they didn't expect. This irony should make you laugh. They looked at you like a threat, which turned you into one. They built their schedules, their conversations, their alliances around you. You were their enemy, what drove them, and what they were focusing on. Meanwhile, you were building a life that didn't require them at all. You can't grow or get stronger without other people seeing you do it. What do you think? Was it all a waste of time? In fact, it was a process of forging. Structure is shown by pressure, and what they'll never have in you is what you survived. One last truth to keep in mind. When the truth comes out, it doesn't want to get back at people. You are free, and that is the real victory. Number 10. The fire is now on their side of the door. When liars realize they're not in charge of the story anymore, they fall apart. They were not ready for this moment of change, which they laughed at and swore would never happen. They can't hide the fact that they're scared right now. Hasty explanations, nervously talking too much, and sudden worries about how things look. People who used to feel safe are now looking over their shoulders to see who knows what and who might speak next. Here's how it works poetically. They're feeling the same things they tried to make you feel: worry, doubt, suspicion, and that uneasy feeling that won't go away. There is one important difference, though. You didn't lie about how you felt. The fact that they did it makes them drown in it. Imagine building a house out of cardboard for years and then calling it solid. From far away, it looks great, but as soon as it starts to rain, everyone runs away. That's their reputation right now. It was built quickly and loudly on lies that can't stand up to close examination. You never had to fix the damage. You never had to deal with optics. There was never a need to remember which story you told which person. You were saved by how consistent you were. Their performance is what's making them fail. You might be wondering if they finally know what they did. Some of them do. That's the worst thing from. You can't have awareness without redemption or regret without repair. For the rest, denial will be their last line of defense until it too falls apart. This is the line that closest. When doubt turns into fear, the truth has already come. They're in a hurry because they know this isn't about getting back at someone. It's about exposing them. You went through fire and came out without hurt. They can already see smoke and are choking. Time didn't move quickly in this case. It waited until there was no way to ignore the contrast. The spotlight feels very different when you're by yourself in it now. Number 11. They were turned away by the same system. The weight of them already so you don't need to swing back. They forgot to plan for this part, you stepping aside. There won't be any angry speeches or dramatic fights, just the truth quietly moving through the same channels they used to poison. That's just how the universe keeps things in scale. It doesn't yell. It changes the momentum. You can now use the network they turned into a weapon to do your work. The way we talk feels different. People think twice before telling old stories again. Things don't make sense anymore. Views are changing because lies need energy all the time, while the truth only needs one chance to shine. When doubt gets into a closed system, everything starts to leak. Imagine a spider that is stuck in its own web. Every time it tries to escape, it pulls harder, but all it does is make the web tighter around itself. That's them now. Every time someone tries to control the fallout, they find another problem. With each explanation, more questions come up. Every denial sounds over the top. They made a machine that would only work if you were quiet and didn't understand what it was doing. You didn't even need to talk. It was time. That thought of, should I clear my name, is out of your mind. It's already happened in your life. It's better to be consistent than to be correct. Defense doesn't work against calm. The truth does not argue. It waits until the lies get tangled up. The fact that your job is easy right now is what scares them the most. Don't change who you are. Do not look back as you keep moving forward. Pick clarity over bitterness over and over again. You have nothing more to prove. Their lies are eating them up from the inside, and you have nothing to do with it. They wanted a mess. What happened to them? They wanted power. They got attention. There wasn't a loud punishment from the universe. It let them drown in the sound of their own lies. And the way you quietly leave is the last message they can't change. You've had enough fighting. They are just starting. 13. They were scared because you were out of control. When people understand something, they don't attack it. They attack things they don't own. They'll never say this truth out loud. Because you were weak, they didn't go after you. They went after you because they knew you couldn't bend. They didn't tell you to move. You didn't change your form to fit the room. Just the fact that you were real in a world full of costumes, made you dangerous. You didn't have to say that you were honest. It came through in the way you moved, talked, and didn't try to get praise. In places where pretending was accepted, being real showed who was lying. And a mirror, they didn't ask for makes, people who aren't sure of themselves the angstiest. Imagine a room full of mannequins that are perfectly dressed and posed, but they don't have a life. Once you've done that, picture one person breathing normally. That one breath breaks the illusion. You did that without meaning to. Your presence made them question their reasons. They were telling themselves stories about why they were stuck that were not true as you moved forward. They wanted to have power, but you were free. They wanted you to obey them, but you trusted yourself. Since there was no way to control them, character assassination was used instead. When there is no longer any control, sabotage is used. You might have thought, why didn't they just leave me alone? Because having you around made people compare. Every time you chose honesty over ease of doing things, it made them think of a choice they didn't make. Every time you beat them without cheating, it made the shortcuts they relied on less safe. This part should really sink in. Authenticity is a threat to people who live off of performance. They didn't lose anything. What they were missing was shown by you. They didn't rise, instead, they attacked. Attacks, on the other hand, only work if the target takes in the poison. You didn't. Now, it's up to you to handle growth while they take care of appearances. They are standing up for stories while you are making plans for the future. They wanted power that was never theirs, which is why they went after you. You couldn't be owned. 13. They made something that they couldn't break. Pressure doesn't break the right stuff, it just shows it. This is the ending they didn't mean to happen. They were obsessed with putting you down, but you were quietly making everything that mattered stronger. Even though you didn't know everything about the attack, you knew enough to act on instinct instead of panic. It was your instincts that saved you. When you pulled back, it wasn't because you were weak. It was because you were getting ready. You set limits not to keep people away for their own comfort, but to keep them safe so they could grow. While they were using their limited language to try to describe you, you were actually becoming less and less clear, not as easy to identify, catch, or control. Imagine a cage that is built for an animal that keeps getting bigger. It holds at first, then bends, and finally stops working. That's what took place. There were limits on what they could do, but those limits made you grow beyond the shape they made. You might wonder why it felt so lonely. Because change doesn't usually come with cheers. There will be times when you choose to be alone, even if it means cutting ties with other people. Sometimes being alone is the price you pay for becoming real. They were writing down your reactions while you were learning how to control yourself. They thought you would fall apart, but you were learning your own rhythm, and the universe responded to that. As chances came up, things became clearer and less distracting. This is the truth that proves it. They were trying to stop you from becoming, but they sped it up by accident. You don't move forward mad, you move forward calm. You don't have to tell everyone about your power. It's clear from how little room you give chaos right now. In order to explain, they are still looking backward. You can see ahead and are already moving. That's the rise, and no one needs to see it. Number 14. It was shown that the crown was never taken. It was never about stopping you. They just wanted to stay alive. Here is the whole truth, without any drama or excuses. They built their whole business because of who they are, not because of something you did. Leaves out what you were solid, makes you afraid where you were steady, and acts out what you were real. You were the mask their insecurities were projected onto. Because they didn't have the courage to face themselves, they told themselves that this was to keep other people safe. It wasn't. They said it had to do with fairness, balance, care, and lies. It was about envy growing in the background until it had someone to target. You didn't make it happen. You showed it by existing without saying sorry. People attack the things that show their excuses aren't true. Picture a group of people in a dark room trying to convince each other that the light is dangerous. Then you walk in with clarity, not even trying to lead anyone, just knowing what's going on. Suddenly, there is a difference in how dark they are. They don't adjust their eyes. Instead, they try to break the light. That's what it was. They were bound together by fear, not by shared beliefs. Fear of being normal, fear of being found out, and fear that someone could be honest and still get ahead. They were afraid of the future you showed them, so they tried to ruin it instead. Now comes the important part. Crowns aren't given out when the truth comes out. They are known for it. It's not just this confession that will bring them down. From now on, you won't have to doubt your own abilities or think about whether you were too much or not enough. The universe told you that you were right without you having to beg it. You don't have to say that you won. You don't need to talk to anyone. Coronations aren't held in front of big crowds anymore. When you stop shrinking and start walking forward without looking back, they happen inside you. They set up a whole business around you. You made this ending, so it belongs to you. Now we end this chapter in the right way, with certainty instead of noise. You knew what was true. You could feel it line up. There was no chance in this, and nothing you went through was for nothing. What they hid was worse than they thought it would be, but it made something they can never touch. Your steps are clear, steady, and unaffected as you walk forward. If you liked this message, please like the video and subscribe to make this voice stronger. You can leave a 777 in the comments to show that you made it through. Before we get to the end of this powerful story, let's reflect on this deep truth. You did not find this message by accident. This is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. You are being invited into a protected, faith-filled community at the link in the description and pinned comment, a place where divine utterance is not just a hope, but a promise built on the Word. By heading to the site right now, you are unlocking access to a sacred community of like-minded believers. When you join our membership tiers, you gain immediate entry to powerful content, daily devotions, and divine insights that are hidden from the world. This is your chance to enter a sanctuary where you will receive spiritual guidance, unwavering support on our prayer wall, and speedy progress toward your destiny. Do not let this moment of destiny pass you by. Your breakthrough is waiting. Join our inner circle through the exclusive link in the description. This is how you guarantee you never miss the personalized messages and spiritual warfare tools meant to elevate your life. If you feel called to deepen your connection, the link is waiting for you in both the pinned comment and the description. For those who want to amplify this work and carry the light home, you can find our guided ebooks and Bibles in the pinned comment. Whether you join as a member or sow a seed through our resources, Your presence and energy change the world. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.